webinar for new school counselors presented by the Iowa School Counseling Association. Wait, Britt. Let's go.
Record.
Hi, welcome to this webinar for new school counselors presented by the Iowa School Counseling Association. My name is Mike Donaldson, and I'm the Vice President representing middle school counselors on the ISCA board. Also presenting today are Jane Metcalf, Amy Hospodarsky, and Amanda Hughes. The most common feeling we hear from new counselors is feeling overwhelmed. In addition to meeting with kids, there are many responsibilities. That is what we're here for. As board members, one of our roles is to serve as a resource for you to help you be successful. And today is the first part. Today we will identify essential resources we use, books or websites. We will offer suggestions, insights, or advice, and provide contacts to help you build your professional network. Leading us off today is Jane Metcalf. Jane will share resources for high school, for K-12 counselors.
Thank you, Mike. I welcome the opportunity to do more sharing as the VP for K-12 counselors in Iowa. It's been a really fun and interesting journey to network with counselors throughout the state as being part of the ISCA board. It's only my third year as the pre-K-12 counselor at Central Community Schools in Elkader. We, of course, are one of those districts that have declining enrollment, and so my job as an elementary counselor became an elementary middle school and then a pre-K-12 counselor. I have been counseling for several years and have a lot of experience, but find that learning new things from different board members that I have been in close contact with, particularly when it comes to social media and using email to exchange ideas also, has been a really positive thing for me to keep me in the loop of what's happening in the world of counseling. So I'd like to share a little bit of what I like to do and what I think some of the program strengths that I have built in my pre-K-12 program and some things that you might find helpful as a pre-K-12 counselor. Some of my favorite curriculum resources in the elementary is the Second Step Social Skills Curriculum. We purchased that as a district 3 years ago when I became the elementary, middle school, and high school counselor. Add the high school duties on. The Second Step Social Skills Curriculum is published by the Committee for Children, and it is one of the recommended curriculums in the What Works list from the federal government. I was looking for something that would address the issue of social skills in our district, would be easy to prepare, and have a variety of learning modes for kids, and this one does all that. One of the things I really like is that it involves music, physical activity, and a very quick, clean way to present a social skill. One of the first steps that all the kids learn is what the skills for listening are. And you learn that you use your eyes, your ears, your voice is quiet, and your body is still. And then you just build on that. There are 4 units to this curriculum that I particularly like, and that's the thing that really sold my principal on it, is when we talked about the content and I surveyed the elementary staff, which is a key part as an elementary, high school, and middle school counselor, is that you have to be in contact with your staff to see what they need. Is it has it called Skills for Learning, Empathy, Emotional Management, and Problem Solving, which are exactly the things that most of the teachers in the Central Elementary were looking for from counseling. So I feel like my program is much more relevant and it's much more easy to manage. And speaking of easy to manage, I do enjoy using Pause Online in the I Have a Plan, Iowa. I started out by printing the curriculum and using some of the activities in the printed curriculum, and last year I have moved to using a lot more of the career mini videos with kids. Even kindergartners seem to enjoy the exploring of different careers, learning pathways, and it's all free, which is a huge plus for districts like Central. In middle school, I moved on in the I Have a Plan, Iowa to the Roads to Success curriculum, which is also presented as a free product in the I Have a Plan, Iowa. And you can download individual lessons, you can download units, you can download the whole curriculum. And this curriculum really focuses on college and career readiness skills over a variety of topics, brain-based learning, study skills, money management, and of course in 8th grade you work on writing your 4-year plan and entering that into I Have a Plan Iowa. But the lessons are scripted. They use a variety of resources, websites, and actually are pretty engaging for students too. So easy to get to. Definitely would recommend that you explore that. In high school, we created at Central a Career Central program. And I will tell you something about Central, not because it's a point of pride, but because it's a reality. When you have a site visit, your counseling program as well as the other programs in your district will be reviewed. And our counseling program came up short 4 years ago. And so we had to write a new plan, and we used the ASCA model to audit our program. We used the ASCA model to help write a mission statement and develop a balance of management, delivery, foundation, and accountability in our system. And part of that was, the part that was really missing was a careers program. And so finding some models in other states too, we developed a program, the previous counselor and myself, and now I'm doing it, where we use Roads to Success, I Have a Plan Iowa, and we go into classrooms where teachers have all the students in grades 6 through 11 and present these I Have a Plan Iowa guideways. And then we end up in grades 9, 10, 11, and 12 with field trips to universities, class field trips, which are school supports, which has been a really great thing for a lot of students. So they get at least 3 visits to different colleges in their high school career. They go to a community college, then a small private, and we end up going to a state university, which is UNI, since it's a close one. But that's a key part of our program, as well as meeting with parents at the beginning of the year of juniors and senior individual visits, which is huge to find out what are the expectations on both sides, not just students, but parents. And that, I think, has been a key in the success of the program, is that being a bridge in communication between what parents need, know, want, expect, and what students are dreaming, hoping, and sometimes afraid to face as they make the transition. We also at Central instituted Silver Cord, which is a volunteerism program, and it's sort of like the National Honor Society, I like to say, of volunteerism, because you have to document more carefully your hours and you are recognized at graduation, and it has really helped build a culture of volunteerism in our district. We started in 8th grade where they can build hours and carry them in, and then they graduate and get to wear a silver cord if they have built 100 hours in the program. And they have to do a variety of activities. They cannot do just one. Those kind of materials I'd be happy to share with anyone. It's on our website at Central Community Schools. A few other resources I would touch on are Julia Cook is an author I've just discovered actually through my participation in the ISCA board. Some of the other counselors were talking about her books. I love them because they deal with very relevant issues, friendship, anger, and they have nice explanation of the stages of the problem with students. The story is well told. And then there's a note to parent and educators at the back of the book that gives you an idea on what kinds of expectations and teachings that you can do beyond what the story of the book tells. And I find that the kids are very receptive to that and easily remember the formulas for how to deal with the presenting problem in the book when we are in our small groups. I also like to use stopbullying.gov for some very clean, simple information about bullying. It's such a complex problem and very challenging, but it's really a good basis. And the videos that they show for kids are engaging and entertaining and really bring out some of the issues that children have with bullying. Unfortunately, it seems like we don't have enough time to really get into them in the way I would like to. And that is a big problem that I have some solutions to on my last slide. In middle and high school, I have a few other things that I like to share. Collegeboard.com is absolutely my favorite website. I love Big Futures. It does a lot what I Have a Plan Iowa does, but you don't have to log in, which we all know can be a real interesting challenge sometimes for some students, although they've made some changes this year, and I have a Plan Iowa, which is making it easier. But Big Futures is a great search site. College Board has some very neat, clean articles about how students can be prepared for college, particularly finding a major, which is one of the things that came up among our seniors and juniors last year that we're dealing with this year, is trying to help them with that. Pre-K-12, I have some favorite sites. PBIS World has some nice diagnostic tools, lists behaviors, and gives you some interventions. You can actually click and download interventions and intervention forms. I like Kids Health for some basic information to share with kids and parents about a lot of different kinds of issues that children face. And I did talk already about IhaveAPlanIowa.gov, which includes PAWS and Roads to Success, plus some great test prep, which isn't on the screen, but free for the ACT, which is a plus too. I'd like to wrap up my section of this webinar with just a few notes on time management. How do you divide your time when you have so many people to deal with? And it's nice if you have been able to put together a management agreement with your administration. And I know the formal agreement sometimes doesn't always happen, but I think we always have to remember as a K-12 counselor that what we bring to the district is unique and powerful, and we need to be advocates for ourselves and our programs, and make sure that you do have the balance between individual and group and classroom counseling. And you do need office time to be able to deal with all the different issues that come across your plate and tons of email that you get. One of the things I wanted to share, because I've been communicating with new counselors in the pre-K-12 area across the state, is how I sort of manage my time. I thought that might be a little helpful. Is that I still do classroom counseling sessions 20 minutes once a week. Only 20 minutes, but as I mentioned, the curriculum that I use has worked very well for that second steps. I can do a 20-minute session, and there it's very scaffolded, and I do lots of other things in addition to that too during a counseling year. And some weeks we just don't meet when I make an agreement with the teachers for that. They do count on me. I do leave Wednesdays and Thursdays 2 days a week open so I can get to high school classes more easily. I run a check-in, check-out program with the assistance of our associates and staff for students that need that kind of intensive Tier 2 intervention. And we also have a Check and Connect program, which we are working at reviving this year to make it more of a check, more of a connect, and probably a little less of a check. I think the connection is the strongest piece of that program. I also teach a daily HEC, so I have access to middle school kids for career planning. I find email checking is huge. I have to check it as much as possible throughout the day because it is a big communication with staff. They'll talk to me about their needs, student needs. I have administrative access to our student management system so I can get schedules and contacts. And the high school secretary does schedule all college rep visits for me, which is a real blessing. I submit lesson plans, unfortunately, because I teach a daily HEX, but we do it online through our Google site. And I do run a bunch of separate calendars for Google so that I can keep track of different types of appointments, like personal appointments, meetings. My superintendent's calendar lays on top of my calendar. Our activities calendar is on there too. It's very colorful, but it does help me organize my day. And probably the biggest thing I do is in our mail system, we have Gmail. I have a folder for every kid, and I put it underneath a class folder, and so that every email that I send, I can keep track of. I think that's the biggest thing K-12 counselors wrestle with is scheduling, and you really have to be in charge of that as much as possible and try and get rid of other things that a lot of times administrators will ask you to do, like monitor lunchrooms and do study halls. I fortunately have not been asked to do that, but I was pretty clear when we started on what I expected to do in my counseling program, and they were quite amenable to the suggestions that I made. And so you need to be an advocate again. Work with your secretaries. They are priceless people in the school. They know a lot of things. They have personal relationship with kids, and they can lead you to many a hurting student and give you clues as to how to contact and deal with parents that they deal with. And remember to bring in resources. The Iowa College Access Network, Voc Rehab, Iowa College Aid, great free resources to supplement your program. Make sure you meet the staff, do surveys with Google Forms, make time to stop in and visit with them so that you can keep track of what kinds of things are important to them. It's a lot to do, I understand that, but I also find that it's sort of a cool thing when you are the person in the building that covers the breadth of counseling, that you get to be the one to talk to the senior, get a hug from the kindergartner, and work on a check-in, check-out with the fourth grader. I like it. And so please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about your K-12 program and you have something good to share, because I'm always looking to make my program better too. Thanks very much. And I'm going to pass this on to Amy Hospodarsky, who's going to talk to you about elementary guidance.
Hi, my name is Amy Hospodarsky, and I am the Vice President for Elementary. And I'm just going to share a few resources and things that I use with you. First of all, it was really hard to pare this down. If you were to look in either of my offices, you would notice that I have lots of resources available. Just to talk a little bit about myself, I am in my 6th year as a pre-K through 4 counselor and my 13th year as a school counselor. I work in Monticello, which is a fairly rural community, kind of midway between Cedar Rapids and Dubuque. I serve 2 elementary buildings and have in total about between 425 and 450 students in those 2 buildings. Some of the books that I've shared, like I said, this is by no means a comprehensive list, but it's some of the things that I have been using quite a bit lately, and I looked for resources that had a multitude of different uses. And one thing that you'll notice, I can kind of lump most of these resources in these books on this page, is that they were originally designed for students with autism spectrum disorders. But we have found through team teaching with some of our special education teachers and with some of our general education teachers that these types of resources are working really well for lots of different kids, not just kids who are on the spectrum. And so I just put kind of a smattering of different things on this page. Anything by Michelle Garcia Winner are excellent. The Incredible 5-Point Scale has been used lots of different places and can be used in lots of different ways in talking to kids about how they're feeling about certain things. Jed Baker's books on social skills are excellent. And another one that I've been using also is The Zones of Regulation by Leah Kuypers. It's a little bit like the 5-Point Scale, where it uses colors to identify different feelings. And those have all been really good in lots of different ways. If you go to www.socialthinking.com, you can find these resources and lots more. Like I said, there's even more than what I put here, but there's some very, very good resources that work in lots of different ways. I've used some of them in some of the things that I do in the classroom. I've used them with small groups and with individuals, so they're really applicable in lots of different situations. I also included some websites that I think are helpful in different situations. The first one is C-SCORE, and this has a lot of information on research-based effective school counseling practices. As school counselors, I know we're always need to be thinking about being data-driven and looking for data to support our programs and what we do. And so there's a great amount of information on that website about helping you become more data-driven and looking for research-based and effective programs in school counseling. The StopBullying.gov is our federal government's website with resources on bullying, and there is just a ton of information on there for for parents, for kids, for educators. Lots of great information on there. I also included just a smattering of other resources that I found useful. The Dougie Center, the Dougie.org, is grief resources for kids and families. We had a really rough year last year with, we had 3 parents pass away in 1 year, and we got a lot of great information off of that website, and that was very good. Books That Heal Kids is a blog with resources on bibliotherapy. And I know that I really enjoy using books in a lot of different ways in the classroom or with kids in my office with small groups or individuals. So just a lot of good information there. elementarySchoolCounseling.org, again, just a whole wealth of resources there around different topics, or if you're looking for books on things, check that out. Lots of good information there. We do have a site for school counselors on the Iowa Department of Ed site, and that site is educateiowa.gov. If you go onto that site and then search for school counseling, you can find things there. And Jan Kuhl is our consultant at the state. She is wonderful, and lots of information on there about school counseling programs in Iowa, even information if you're preparing for a site visit, things like that. Castle.org is a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning, and there's some resources on there as well. One other thing that I'd like to point out, and I think that it's good to get connected with other school counselors. If you are in a smaller district like I am, that can be kind of hard. I'm the only elementary counselor in my district, or like Jane is the only counselor in her district. So to connect with other counselors is really important, and it's important to get a professional learning network. And you can use social media to do that, and that's something that it's kind of been a goal of mine in the last couple of years to work on that. So just some things that I've been using. First of all, Twitter. If you use the hashtag school counseling chat or SC chat, there is a wealth of information on there, and just lots of things that come through all the time. So I'm continually finding resources through that. There's lots of different topics when they do have chats that you can tune into and find information about whatever it is that you're looking for. Pinterest has become a really popular website lately. If you search for school counseling resources there, you can also follow other school counselors and find lots of great ideas. SCOPE is the School Counselor Online Professional Exchange, and I included the website there. Lots of technology information on that, and like for instance, there's a link to all sorts of blogs that school counselors write, and so just a lot of ways to get connected in a technological way there. And then also, I don't know if you're familiar with Live Binders or not, but it's kind of like a virtual binder, and you can search for school counseling resources and follow other school counselors, similar to Pinterest on that as well. And so we appreciate you watching the webinar, and we appreciate the opportunity to connect with you. Like I said, especially in a small district, it's hard to do that. So we welcome the opportunity to connect with you. We hope that you consider ISCA as a resource and don't hesitate to contact us. So now I'm going to hand it off to Mike Donaldson, who is the Vice President for Middle School.
Again, my name is Mike Donaldson. I am a middle school counselor at Gilbert Middle School. This is my 10th year as a school counselor, my 10th year at Gilbert. My contact information is there. Please, as you view this, if you have questions, contact me. What I'd like to do is just share some resources with you that I have discovered or that were recommended to me when I was starting out. The first series of books that I want to share are the Activities That Teach. There are 3 books, Activities That Teach, More Activities That Teach, and Still More Activities That Teach, all by Tom Jackson. What I love about these books, they are practical topics, they are flexible and easily adapted, and most importantly, they are effective with kids. With each activity, there are a set of discussion questions, and so it's a great hands-on way to get kids engaged and then to promote a discussion in your classroom. The second set of books would be for small groups, and they're the Skills for Living set. There's 2 of them. These are a complete resource for small group counseling. So they have the needs assessment, they have examples of parent communication, they have objectives for each topic, and then the topics are presented in a lesson plan format. So they're very easy to use. You can pull them off the shelf, make a few copies, and you're ready to go. So if you're in need of small group counseling resources, Skills for Living, both sets would be resources that would be good. A third one to share is Skill Streaming the Adolescent. There are other versions of that. The one that fits best with middle school is Skill Streaming the Adolescent. This takes basic social skills and breaks them down into step-by-step format. It's something that I've used a lot with students who maybe struggle with social skills. It's a good resource to have on your shelf. I've even used it in the classroom to teach a particular social skill at some of the grades that I teach. So another one that I would recommend. A few other resources, as you've heard, ihaveaplaniowa.gov. Jane mentioned that in her K-12 presentation. Most importantly, at the middle school level, this is where 8th graders create their 4-year plans as required by law. But there's also other curriculum there. They can do lots of job searches, college searches, and so it's a great resource that I use quite a bit. If you're a member of ASCA, the American School Counseling Association, their resource center has a variety of information on different topics, everything from professional journal articles to research articles to websites and lesson plans. So that would be a resource. If you are not a member of ASCA, that would be a resource I would explore and investigate and consider joining. Another resource related to the to ASCA is the ASCA Scene. It is a networking site for school counselors. There are documents you can download. There's a discussion board. There are places you can ask questions and get feedback, or you can just simply read previous discussions and get ideas or resources from them. Another website is the Center for Excellence in School Counseling Leadership. Again, another place where you can go and get documents, classroom pre-test, post-test. You can also get Closing the Gap action plans, results reports, and even presentations to school boards. All of those are there in a variety of topics. And now to share some high school resources is Amanda Hughes.
Hi, I'm Amanda Hughes, and I'm the Vice President for Secondary Schools for the high schools. This is my third year, at West Branch High School. Prior to that, I served as a counselor 2 years in Illinois before doing some English teaching for a couple of years before that. I really enjoyed being in Iowa. It's really neat to see all of the different resources that are available to Iowa school counselors and also the support that's in place for Iowa school counselors. Some of the books that I've really enjoyed have been anything from the ASCA resource series. If you are a member of ASCA, you receive a catalog each year with all sorts of books that they sell, or you can go online to their online bookstore, but they have some specially designed resource series that I have used frequently. Some of the different topics that I've really enjoyed have been a small group curriculum on mastering test anxiety. I've used an organization boot camp. There's also a curriculum about supporting resiliency in students and even working with reality theory in students. So they do a really good job of putting together some succinct lessons with mature-looking, reproducible materials that you can use for high school students, so that they, so the high school students feel like it's appropriate for their age. I've also enjoyed using the Student Success Skills curriculum, which you can order for a fairly low price. I believe it's only $30 for the whole curriculum. They have it available for all different levels of school counseling. There is an elementary and then a middle and high school curriculum. In addition, they also have a small group curriculum that you can use for a pull-out session, and they also have a parent education curriculum. I'm looking forward to hopefully trying to use that this year sometime. Jane mentioned Check and Connect as an intervention that she uses in their school, and that's something that we're also using this year. It's through the University of Minnesota, so you can purchase the manual for that, but it provides a nice way to help other staff members in the building learn how to develop a structured mentoring relationship, especially with at-risk students, which is how we're using that to be able to collect data on them and monitor progress and also monitor the communication that's and contact that's happening with them. This especially helps when you're thinking about trying to keep up with checking in with individual students throughout the day, as well as managing all of those other tasks that you do as a counselor. If you can tap into your staff to also help you with some of those mentoring relationships. Not that they take the place of the school counselor, but they just provide yet another adult in the building that can create a positive relationship with students. I found that this Check and Connect helps us to be able to do that. In terms of other web resources, I know we've heard a couple times that the ASCA website is really helpful. It's usually my go-to place first if I'm looking for maybe a document that I'd like to use or a template. I usually check that out first. I know Amy mentioned CASEL as well. One of the reasons why I really enjoy using the CASEL website is for research-based or other evidence as to why social and emotional learning positively impacts academic success in the schools. ACT has recently developed an Engage survey which measures student success, skills, and supportive factors. It's an online survey that you can sign up to distribute to your students. I believe the cost is $5 a student, but it asks questions about how they feel with school safety, also their organization, their ability to regulate their emotions, and family support. On the student side, it gives them a really nice report of areas of strength and also areas of weakness that they could work on to be successful in high school and also in college. And on the administrative side, when you receive a summary of all the reports, it gives them a success rating scale, kind of like how the ACT score predicts academic success in college. The Engage score predicts academic success in high school and also in the college level in terms of those academic behaviors. We also use Google Drive a lot. I know Jane was talking about using Google Forms for surveys, and I've really appreciated the fact that it puts all of that data together for me. It's easy for me to export it. It's easy for me to sort through it, and it even Google Drive has a way for you to view a summary of your responses and to put together some quick charts, which is a nice feature to be able to show your administrators the outcome of your surveys. And I also really enjoy Russ Sabella's website. He is a former ASCA president and is very involved in ASCA, schoolcounselor.com. At the national conferences, he leads their tech smackdown, so his schoolcounselor.com blog sends out, I think it might be bi-weekly emails that have a lot of information about technology resources, even things just helping you to understand Excel and use that to your advantage when you're presenting reports. Another thing that we've heard about already is Pinterest, of course, for school counseling boards. I also like to keep an eye out for various different test prep websites. I know that the ACT website has some test prep that's associated with it, and I Have a Plan, of course, has purchased the whole ACT online prep program so that students in Iowa can access that for free, which is excellent. I like to give my students as many different resources for test prep as possible because some of them prefer different platforms to others, especially in high school if they're a little, I don't know, they've been doing I Have a Plan Iowa for so long, sometimes they resist my strong encouragement of using that as a test prep, even though it's probably one of the best ones. But 4test.com is great, and number 2 is great. I know some of the libraries, local libraries, have also been able to tie into a statewide database of test prep that's available on the public library websites. And finally, I am always looking for ways to communicate with families and with students to remind them of college visits and to remind them of scholarship deadlines or events that are going on. And with so many students and parents relying on their cell phones, I've learned about Remind 101, which is a free group texting service that you can create an account for so that you can actually write your text messages from a computer. You don't have to personally know student or parent cell phone numbers in order to send these reminders, and conversely the students and parents don't need to know your cell phone number either if you're to send a reminder. They can just sign up for your group by texting a code to a certain number. I've really enjoyed it. I think my students have appreciated being able to get a text message, you know, there's a scholarship due this week, be sure to go to the website and check it out. Some general tips with response to intervention and at-risk needs, and also all of the site visits that happen. I have found that finding streamlined ways to collect data is very, very important. Ways to be able to quickly analyze your school population, find out if you are presenting equitably to all of the students is really important, and also being able to figure out if they're making improvements on their statewide assessments and even college entrance exams. I use Excel and Google Docs and Google spreadsheets all the time to try to keep track of all of the information. The other advice I would have is to protect your role. This one I have to remind myself of pretty frequently, but it's very easy to take on new responsibilities in your building that can take away from your main task of being that student advocate. Even if some of those new responsibilities are things that are really exciting or they might be something that you enjoy, I personally have to remind myself that my main reason is that I'm there to be a student advocate, and I have to really make sure that I protect that time and not be sidetracked by other things. Also learn to take time for yourself. This is clearly a really stressful job and can be very busy. So finding ways to de-stress and relax, take some personal rejuvenation time is really important. And also know who are the right people to talk to. This is kind of going back to that building a professional network. Know the people that share the same confidentiality guidelines as you do, because there are going to be times when you'll need to either consult or maybe just bounce some ideas off of another person, and it's really important to make sure that you're talking to people that have the same expectation of confidentiality so that there's no inappropriate sharing of information. And even if that means going outside of your school system and seeking your own personal counseling relationship, that can be really beneficial and helpful for school counselors. So in conclusion, we wanted to wrap up our webinar and thank you again for participating and being a part of ISCA. Just remember that you have to focus on one thing at a time. You can't do it all. Sometimes mantra to remember is task completion. Make sure that when so many things come at you during the day, it's hard to remember to finish that one thing that you started before you go home. And also make sure that you take time to take care of yourself. Reach out for help and be sure to contact us. We are available for any questions, and we'll respond to emails whenever you want to send them. And in fact, we have a summary here of all of our email addresses and would love to answer any questions that you have. Thanks for participating.